Okay, so we're going to start the nightstand now. The nightstand is going to take a while to build. You got to think of it as a series of different projects. So looking at this as the example nightstand, you'll be using this to measure off of and gain information that you need. We're going to disregard the top for now and disregard the drawer, so we'll set that aside for later. And the door is going to be attached, but there's a bunch of stuff in here which you'll need later. But for now, we'll just kind of set it aside. So you got to think of the project being a series of projects. So let's come in closer and take a look at what's going on in here. The web frames, which are these two frames. So we got one here and one down here. Those two frames are kind of the formation of the skeleton of the project. So we got to make sure to get those right. So all the information that we need for the project is more or less written on the project. So we're going to start by making the web frames, and looking at the web frames here, it is written here that it's two inches from here to here. That means it's 2 inches from here to here, 2 from here to here, and 2 from here to here. So all the pieces of wood are 2 inches wide. This piece of wood is 14 inches from here to here. You can tell because it says it right there. This piece of wood is 7.5. You can tell because it says it right there. And so we need 2 web frames. So for the 7.5-inch piece, for example, we need 1, 2, 3, 4. This 14-inch piece, we need 1, 2, 3, and 4 to make a total of 8 pieces for 2 web frames. To do that, we are going to be using 3/4-inch plywood. It's 3/4 of an inch from here to here. And again, the reason they call it plywood is because it's little pieces of wood glued together to form all the plies to make the wood. So we're going to be using 3/4-inch plywood to make the web frames. So to start to make the web frames, we got to rip these down to 2 inches. So on the table saw here, let me go ahead and set this up for 2 inches. And we'll get the cameraman close so we can see how I'm going to set the blade up here. If we can get a kind of a top-down view of this one. 2 inches. So the 2-inch mark is right there, and that's measuring to the inside of the blade. So when I rip a board, it's going to be 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and make these 2 cuts, and then we'll continue on the process. Okay, so when you rip a long board like this, one hand goes way back here, and the other hand's where it normally lives. So watch how I do this. Okay, so now we're going to make all our cross cuts to make our web frames. We need 4 pieces at 7.5 and 4 pieces at 14. I'm going to make my long ones first, so come in here, cameraman, and we'll draw some 14-inch piece here. So we're going to draw a nice line at 14 inches. Take our square. Pencil goes on the line, slide the square to the pencil, and make our cut. So this is going to be the keep side, and this is the waist. So let's go to the chop saw and make that cut. So I want to cut that right there. And while I do that, I'm going to grab a stop block.
And now the stop block set up. You notice how long overhang over here? Try to get a friend to help you out by holding that as you cut.
All right, now I got all my 14s now. Let's go ahead and start making our 7.5s. So we need 4 at 7.5. Let's go to the chop saw, set up our stop block.
Again, this long piece is probably going to flop over, but make sure you have a friend to help you out. I don't happen to have any friends, so maybe you're luckier than I am in that case.
Okay, so now we have all our pieces that we need for 2 web frames. Frame 1 and frame 2. Next we got to attach them all together, and that's going to be a mortise and tenon operation. So let's go to the whiteboard and show you how that all works out. Okay, so let's lay out these mortises first. Remember, the mortise is the hole and the tenon is the peg. So come in close and we'll lay out some mortises. So that's 2 inches wide, so we're going to go half a 2, which is, what was that, half a 2, 1. Put a mark at 1 inch right there. So I'm going to take my square and make a line a little bit bigger. Come on, square. There we go. And like this. Okay, I want to repeat that process on all of my short pieces. So what I'm going to do is just butt these up like this, make a mark, flip it, make a mark.
Then I want to put X on each one. Oh, we have one face. Next, I will take these marks, transfer it to my long pieces, just like this, and make a mark like that, and transfer a mark down on the board like this. And again, I'm going to lay
These all out, put an X on one side of these. Okay, so now we got a layout for our mortises. So I'm going to draw a picture of the mortise as if you're looking right here on the whiteboard. So let's look at that. So here's your 3/4 inch piece, 2 inch this way. What we want to do is find the center of the board. So it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to go over 1/2 inch this way. and a 1/2 inch this way. Draw a line, draw a line. I'm going to go up 3/16 that way, and I'm going to go down 3/16 that way. And what we'll end up with is a square. So let me redraw that better right here for you. We're going to end up with a square like that. And that square is going to be 3/8 that way, because 3/16 plus 3/16 is 3/8. And then we're going to end up with 1 inch that way, because 1/2 plus a 1/2 is 1. So let's go lay that out on the board. All right, I already have my 1 inch mark, or my halfway mark there. I'm going to find the midpoint there, and if you want to use the ruler, you can do that. You can just find your 3/4 inch mark, and 1/2 of 3/4 is 3/8, which is right here, and then we'll just strike a line like that, and then I'm not sure that's right in the center. Let me try that one more time here. We'll strike a line there, keep my finger in the same position. Not quite, so it's between those two little lines that I made. So what I want to do is find the exact center between those two little lines, which is right here, and then go up 3/16 that way and 3/16 that way. So let's put it on the 1 inch mark. We'll count 3 little lines, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and then carry that over. Carry that over. And then from that 1 inch mark right there, we're going to go over a 1/2 inch. So from that 1 inch, we're going to go over a 1/2 inch this way, and a 1/2 inch that way. And now, I know it's kind of hard to see on the plywood, but on the whiteboard, it's pretty obvious. So that's the material that we're going to remove. So the next step is going to be to set the multi-router up for that cut.